Get him out the car, and then all I hear is like this loud bang. I turn to the side, and then the van that I'd been in was just coming towards me. Next thing you know, I'm being hit, and the way it hit me sideways on. So my knee basically, well, leg went that way. Welcome on board my 40-foot sailboat. I'm Scully Nomad, and today I'm going to share with you my story of boat ownership and my original plans, and we're going to talk about my accident. We're going to talk about the financing and everything around the boat ownership since I've had it. I've had the boat now for about 5 years. For those who are new, it's a Jeanneau Odyssey 40, the free cabin version made in 2002. I part financed it, so I took a unsecured loan for half the value of the boat and paid cash for the rest. My original plan was to pay it off within 2 years, take the boat down to Brighton or the south coast where I can go over to France, ditch the boat in whichever marina, fly home, make some money, fly back and keep on cruising. But that's not what's happened, so today you're going to find out why. Now, to give people a context of the whole kind of financial journey, so I'm an agency worker. I'm a 0-hour contract employee, and I work for event companies. And what I like about working for the event companies is one day I'll be working at a festival, then an exhibit centre, and then a shopping centre, and then travelling all over the UK. So the job is very varied, but the main reason I do is because January and April typically there's not much work, and before owning the boat and my accident and everything, I used to go abroad, so it's given me the opportunity to travel 4 months of the year abroad. So of course when I stopped working, I stopped getting paid. Overall, I earn around £20,000 a year, so less than the median income, and it's very varied. So 1 month I'm working loads, others not so much, but it's literally the number one reason why I do the agency working is because I can have 4 months off at a time. I lead a very minimalist lifestyle, so I don't own a lot of clothes or anything. Everything I own I paid for, so my car I only paid £2,000 for example. With the exception of boaty stuff, everything I own actually just fits in the car. And the places I'd go would be in more affordable places like India and Vietnam, so for £30 a day that would cover my accommodation, travel, everything. I brought this boat in March 2019. As I'm filming this summer 24. So I'm going to do it through kind of a timeline. Now, just before I brought the boat, I was actually in an accident. My accident happened in November 2018, and basically on the way to work I was driving the Luton van, and it had a promotional stand inside it. So it's quite a big van, quite weighted, and basically I'm driving around in the left hand lane, and in the middle lane there was this car. It was quite far away from me, like 100 meters, and basically started raining, and then all of a sudden the rain started really hammering it down. You know where you just kind of have to really start slowing down. Anyway, the guy who's driving this black car, he started kind of wobbling around, and it's like really surreal because I kind of knew what was going to happen already. It's like something I'd seen in the movies like a million times. But anyway, it's almost like somebody kicked his car because it just flung over to the side, hit the barrier, ended up spinning around and facing the wrong way in the middle lane of the motorway. So his stopped and crashed. I immediately put my hazard lights on and moved into the middle lane. I stopped the van around 8 meters away from the car, so quite a distance, run over, bang on the window, grab the guy out the car, I'm on the phone as I'm running from the van, get him out the car, and then all I hear is like this loud bang. I turn to the side, and then the van that I'd been in, it was, I was laser focused on the driver's side. No one was in it, obviously, because I'm the driver for it. And it was just coming towards me. Next thing you know, I'm being hit, and the way it hit me sideways on. So my knee basically, well, leg went that way, so with the bumper. So I was forced between the car wreck and the van. So like really small narrow gap. Now the black vehicle was the one that had crashed. The white van was the one that I was driving there. So if you imagine that van, the front bumper to the front bumper here, 8 meters to the right, so quite a big gap. It turns out a lorry had hit the van flew forward, and that's what made the van move. And the front tyre is where basically I landed, so you can see the narrow gap was there, so I almost got squashed by the whole thing. If I didn't put the van where I did, then the lorry would have went straight through the car and killed the driver, which would have potentially led on the truck driver to go to jail for manslaughter. Out of the 3 of us involved in the accident, I was the worst one off. As they say, no good deed goes unpunished. I immediately try and stand up, and it obviously didn't work very well. I end up kind of collapsing again, and then kind of just help, like kind of using the vehicles to kind of get up, and then I'm like looking, and these vehicles like not even acknowledging that the fact that this car wreck is in the middle of the lane, and there's vehicles going past like 70-80 miles an hour, just not even clicking that there's a blockage in the road. Anyway, these two dudes come out of nowhere. They grab me, help me to the side. The one goes back and grabs my phone for me, so that was very dangerous for him to do. But the first vehicle that comes along was actually a fire truck. So the fire truck had basically been driving on the bridge on the flyover, because it happened like on a kind of a merging section. They had kind of come and helped and everything. They're calling the police and they're calling the ambulance and everything to come and get us. And what had happened is this lorry had hit the van. The van flew forward and hit me, and I ended up basically being forced to the side. So the ambulance comes. In the back of the ambulance, police officers talking to me and everything, just making sure I'm all right and stuff. And I go to hospital. So I get taken to the hospital. I'm in this bed, and all this, I hear all the chitter chatter and stuff, because obviously, I didn't realise at the time what had kind of happened. All I seen is the bang hitting the floor, and then this truck was just like parked quite far away, and that's basically my picture of being at the scene. So when I'm hearing of what has actually happened, and all these people are just like, oh my god, and the guy who saved, he was also in the the ward right next to me in the emergency. He's looking at me like this rosy-eyed rock star because I've just saved his life, and it's just like really helpful. His friend comes over, and helps him out and stuff. And then I have an X-ray, have all this kind of a few tests done and everything, and next thing just like, oh well, you're not broken anything. Where you say from? Birmingham. Okay. They gave me crutches, painkillers, told me to pay on the way out, and like I'd been there with my if you follow the channel, you'll see my black half spray bag quite a lot, because I travel around loads. And my backpack, and I'm just like, how am I meant to get from London back to Birmingham? So I was kind of like thinking, who can I call? And I'm thinking like my now ex is, she rings me and she's like, is something up? Because like she had like this kind of weird feeling. So I described it. She called my sister. So my sister, my former lady friend, and her and my sister boyfriend, they came down and picked me up and drove me back to Birmingham. So it was kind of lucky that I had them to help me out. The agency I was working for was a little bit more concerned that the fact their stand wasn't built in this shopping centre, as opposed to my own safety, because obviously this van is wrecked in the middle lane of a motorway somewhere now. But anyway, their overall response was just like, oh yeah, we won't charge you for the van, don't worry about it, because obviously like the accident wasn't my fault or anything. They'd offered no income support or anything, and basically it was just left kind of on my own. So that kind of happened like in November. In December, I'd basically been booked to do a 3-week roadshow with my former lady friend. So basically it involves sharing a hotel room. We do the job together, and basically I'm just driving a van around. Now, I've worked for this company for many years, and for the very first time, they'd because I totally thought they just took me off the job for December, because it was the same company who I was in the accident with. I just thought they just took me off it. But anyway, Tuesday morning comes, and this hire car turns up at my house. Never had a hire car from them before. It's usually take a train down to London, pick up vans and stands and all sorts, and then go off. So they've never, in about 5-6 years of working for them, never had a hire car for me. So my first kind of thoughts was, they're looking after me, So anyway, 9 o'clock comes, and they're ringing up, and they're like, oh yeah, you're all right to do that job, the car's outside for you, blah blah blah. And reluctantly I said yes. I shouldn't have said yes, because I'm on crutches and stuff. But I was applying for finance on this boat first at the same time, so really didn't want my income to drop. And as I mentioned at the start, between January and April there's really not that much work, and of course I didn't really know what type of work I'd be able to do after this. So for the both of us to miss out on 3 weeks worth of work. But basically I managed to drive the car using the cruise control. The van that I had also had cruise control, and we were working local in Birmingham and then a week up in Scotland. And then they we did the job together. I had to get the store staff, which I never do, to basically build this little stand for me. I just sat in the cafe. So except for cruise control and sitting in the cafe, I really didn't do anything for the 3 weeks. And then, of course, January comes. I see this boat. I've kept an eye out on it for a little while because it went from, I did a video of how much the boat costs. So if you want to watch that at the end, go for it. But yeah, I actually brought the boat March 2019. So January, February and March really didn't do much because still on crutches. The prognosis was like, I'm a young guy, I didn't break anything, I'll be fine. Now, I grew up in a house with 3 older brothers. I used to play contact sports like ice hockey, so I'm kind of used to being injured. And with the doctors saying you'll be fine in no time, I kind of went, what, we'll go for it, we'll buy the boat. I got it at an excellent price, and it's something that I'd been wanting to do for quite a few years. When I brought the boat, I borrowed a little bit more than I needed to, just in case I needed any kind of big jobs. I mean, I had it surveyed, and the surveyor basically pretty much gave it a clean bill of health. We did do a few bits and bobs on the boat. Again, it's mentioned in the how much the boats cost me. Now, we'd got booked, both of us, on a job May to September. So it was basically working for a TV company in Autumn Towers. So we were staying at my parents', and because of that job I'd end up buying a car. So I brought this car. It was for £3,000. It was a Volvo, 70,000 miles on it. Sold to me, good to go car, blah blah blah. Anyway, after the 3 months, I'd done 10,000 miles in it, and the car was it was wrecked. It was there's fumes coming inside the car, blowing black smoke constantly, loads of issues with it. So basically I had to get rid of the car. So pretty much what I had earned doing that job literally just went on the car. So pretty much worked for free for it. So we started renting cars on and off and getting the megabus to and from places. We did a couple of tours. So again, getting the vans and driving around. So I didn't really need a full-time car then. So it wasn't really much of an issue. Which brings me up to March. So we did go to Latvia in the end of 2019, which is where she was from. So we'd go there for a couple of weeks at a time. So other than paying for flights, everything else, we had accommodation at the parents and all sorts. So it's quite an affordable kind of holiday getaway. And the time was slowly getting back up on my feet as well, despite being a year. It's still now, I mean, we'll go into it in a little bit, but still now I still have problems, but we'll go to the next bit. And then we had March 2020, so that is when they announced lockdowns. Now, the furlough system in the UK, which was like the kind of stimulus packages that they did, if you were self-employed and you had a company for a while, then you could claim loss of earnings through there. So they were giving people like grants, basically keep the businesses going. If you were an employee, you would basically get paid to stay at home, and the government would pay for that. But as I mentioned, I'm a 0-hour employee, so my income was £10 for a month. Now, £10 a month, let me just put it this way, I'm about to leave the boat and go back, but £10 is literally what I'd buy in a McDonald's at a service station now. So just to give you the price comparisons. Actually, £10 doesn't get you a McDonald's from a service station. £11.38 for a Happy Meal and a chicken burger meal, medium. So I was shuffling around. So the way I brought the boat was I paid cash half, and I took an unsecured loan on the other half, just in case anything happened. Ultimately I could just default on the loan, and it would literally just be letters sent at home. So because it's not secured finance against anything, I have paid it off now, which I paid it off last year, which is very very nice. Is not having that extra expense. So I managed to find a job, and the job was selling tobacco products. So they'd put in the menthol cigarette ban at the same time as lockdowns. Now, the tobacco gigs, I do them on and off, and they're super boring because you're not allowed to interact with anybody. So you have a little stand in, like, say, a spa. In this case, I was in a Sainsbury's, and I was doing that in Swansea and Bristol. So I was commuting an hour each way, so 2 hours travel each day. But the gig is literally you just stood there staring into the middle distance, and the only way you can talk to people or interact with people is somebody comes to buy tobacco products from the store, and the store refers you over to refers them over to you, and then that's when you can start having a conversation. So literally just staring into the middle distance for ages. Now the gig paid £80 a day, and I was renting a car on top of that. Again, I didn't have any income support. There was no job seekers, nothing available for me. You know, I was trying, obviously. So I was travelling 2 hours, renting a car. So the car rentals were super cheap. It was like maybe like £20 a day. But if you think that's 20% of my wages, speaking of which, you know, if you take income tax, national insurance, fuel, I was basically living off meal deals in there. So basically, all in all, I was earning about £40 a day during lockdown. Which is obviously something better than nothing, but it was about 10 hours a day that I was working. Now, I almost forgot this, but my second paycheck of doing this tobacco gig, basically on the way into Bristol, this kind of heavy goods vehicle drove past me. It was covered in this kind of, you know, the building sand stuff. It's the same kind of like, it's a very distinctive colour. Anyway, sprays the vehicle, cracks the windscreen, and I was renting the car from Avis, and I'd rented cars for them, no problems before, for a long time. I took it back, windscreen cracked and I was taking pictures. I managed to take a picture of the truck as well, so you could tell that it was like that vehicle which had sprayed the car and basically cracked the windscreen on it. Anyway, they took £400 off me, so once I handed the car back, they didn't really say anything. Next thing you know, I'm getting my credit card being charged £400, which is, when I'm earning 40 quid a day, is not really what I needed. Then the lockdowns kind of ended. You know, they did kind of a phased bit and everything, but again, I managed to get another tobacco gig, so I was rehired to do the same job, which they ended up having to put the wages up a little bit because of the you know, the fact that they couldn't really exploit people who were in the same situation as myself. So they ended up putting the wage up. So they were paying like 100 quid a day to do the 8 hours, and then 20 quid for fuel, like fuel allowance. So I was mostly doing Bristol, and I was booked for a 3-month gig. Now, a few days into this gig, I have a phone call, and it's from the hospital saying that I can have a knee operation. So basically, I've ended up having a brace put into my knee to kind of give it support. And from that, within, I let them know about 4 p.m. The next day, when I got to site at 9 o'clock in the morning, they rang me basically 5 minutes in saying that I just failed a mystery shopper and go home. So basically you get moved around stores quite a lot, so I asked them what store was I in. They couldn't answer it me because they had changed me like last minute anyway. But anyway, it's because I had a knee operation booked in for the end of the month. So I told them so that they could find cover as quickly as possible. But instead all it did was basically throw me under the bus, and I lost out on weeks worth of work from, you know, what I could have done. So I ended up having 3 months off again. I was in a wheelchair for a little bit, which sucks because people look at you and talk to you like you're a 3-year-old, or just kind of ignore you. It's a really difficult situation to be in. And then when you're on crutches as well, people would ask you what's happened to you like all the time as well. And then we move on to 2022. So you have the cost of living crisis. So people were getting like checks and stuff to help out with like you know, more stimulus for people because the prices had gone up of everything, but inflation is the creation of currency, and when you create more currency you give it a devaluation on a global scale, which gives the illusion of higher prices. That's basically what inflation is currency creation, and it also pushes up asset prices because again the currency has been devalued. Now, a lot of my favourite products, for example, before the lockdowns and stuff, was basically like £1. So, for example, pot hummus, £1. Now it's like $1.39, I think I paid a few days ago for it. So 39% increase on that. But everything has gone up. So I don't need to tell you that, you know it. But I didn't get any kind of cost of living support. I've not got any kind of pay rises really. You know, the agencies are having to pay a little bit more, and they did pay a little bit more to begin with, and then now I've noticed that the rates have dropped down a little bit because there's less work available. But yeah, we'll go into 2023. Now 2023, you know, kind of back on my feet. My knee is not perfect. You know, in the summer, you know, it's I can notice it, but it's not really harsh, let's say. But in the winter, when it's cold, really hurts quite a lot. So my knee is not fine from there. So in 2023, basically I had a 6-week gig lined up for an EV car company. I'd worked for them quite a few times before, and basically they were paying £200 a day, 5 days a week, 6 weeks worth of work, and they booked me on in December, which I'd just done a job for them in December. Same agency, different job. So in the meantime, I got my car repaired, so clutch, tyres, a few things done. I spent £1,000 on that, and I brought a new mainsail for the boat, which was around £2,000 to do that. Week before the job was meant to start, so this gig was not only would pay you £200 a day, 5 days a week, 6 weeks, and they would pay fuel, food, and you're in hotels the whole time. So basically, it's really heavily subsidised on top of a good wage. But job was cancelled. So basically I ended up burning through £3,000, and then, you know, them cancelling. Now all of the agencies operate this policy where if they cancel with you within 24 hours, they give you one full day, and if it's 48, it's half a day rate. So let's say they cancelled me on the Sunday, they would pay me all of Monday and half of Tuesday, and then nothing. Now after the 6-week gig had been cancelled, had a few family issues, and I ended up having my 5-year relationship lady friend. She kind of bailed in the end, kind of like springtime 2023, and you know, so basically no money, no work, and single. So, and yeah, not a good point, but did pay off the boat. So I managed to, like, basically every single penny that I had, paid it off. So now it kind of works out as I'm better, £450 better off every month now than it was you know, before. So that's paid off. Everything that I own is my own, so I don't really have the long-term debts. I mean, my only direct debit really is my phone, which is £20 a month. So it's not kind of really intense quite a lot of time, which is kind of I'm looking that way because you know, not really working that much recently. You know, it just means that I can't really afford to do stuff, and you know, with the weather the way it's been this summer, rather than going off and doing stuff like the paddleboarding and going off and doing like the fun things that I've already got, kind of really been kind of stuck really. I did manage to work for 3 months last about, you know, just over 6 weeks ago, for basically in London for 3 months, so decent money, and that's basically paid pretty much everything, like my car servicing, stuff like that. So, but yeah, so the good thing about being at the bottom is the only way is up. So you got to try and look at things in a kind of positive light, I guess. So yeah. Now, despite all of that, I've managed to sail around 2,500 miles, and I did a video on how I've done that. It has been mostly on other people's boats, and I've also done quite a few different videos. I've also learned to kind of maintain my own car now, so I'm kind of doing a lot of the servicing, so quite a few of these subscribers have come from that. So what my channel does is kind of a lot of it depends what I'm doing. So I have some upcoming videos, so I've got to do another car service video. I'm going to cast off single hand, which was meant to be today's video, but it's been raining sideways basically, so can't really do that. Cleaning the boat's pointless because it's raining. And then another one was I had a question, because I like reading people's comments, questions and feedback, and one of them was dealing with loneliness. So I've done a few videos where I'm basically just by myself in a hotel, and I did have the question of like, how do I deal with being by myself, because I do spend a lot of time by myself. As I mentioned, the tobacco companies, for example, when I worked for them, you're just by yourself. And a lot of the people that I work with, literally just like, you're just brushing shoulders with people constantly, so you don't ever really build up relationships or anything. It's literally turn up, work with some random people, probably never see them again, or if you do, it's several months time. So it's social but also quite antisocial. So I'm going to be doing something on that soon. I'm going to be trying to fix the dinghy and the outboard because they're broke. Now, I've always been a very kind of cautious person, so I always try and have 6 months worth of cash available for situations. So even though I've had my accident, been having the operation and things like lockdowns and the lack of support and suppressed income, it has been a struggle. There has been many times where I've literally just gone into like overdrafts and I had to like bail myself kind of back out of that. And again, it's quite frustrating when you do have jobs cancelled or things coming up. And it's the same this year. I've had quite a few jobs cancelled, especially like last minute, and the jobs that are coming in at the moment have been literally just 1 or 2 days here and there, so nothing really to write home about. But yeah, if you're skint like me, just like the video, and if you're feeling a little bit generous and you received some kind of government income support and you want to leave a super thanks and help me out, that'd be most appreciated, because I've not worked in 6 weeks now. So yeah, but I've managed to do a lot of content creation, and that's kept me busy. And I managed to walk some dogs as well recently, which has been quite nice. I volunteered to walk dogs at the Rescue Hotel in Cardiff. It gets me out, gives me something to do, and I really like dogs, but because I don't really live anywhere full time, I can't have one myself, so I get to take one for a spin, and I know the vets as well. But yeah, if you have any comments, questions and feedback, please let me know. I do try and go through everyone's like comments and everything, so when I'm kind of doing my morning coffee and like kind of gig hunting, I do look at the YouTube, Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter as well. I'll put the thing on the bottom so you know how to follow me if you'd like to, and just let me know what you want to see. So just think of it as your channel. What do you want to know, what do you want to see, and I'll film it.